Hello, friends. I often come across this opinion, like, there are some parasitic professions, people who do not bring any benefit, but regularly receive money. People who do not bring real benefits, but receive resources. They say that such people are a kind of parasites. Unfortunately, in our post-Soviet countries, in which leftist ideas, communist narratives have been imposed on people for decades, there are a lot of people with this opinion. And I would still like to touch on this topic and analyze in more detail these, in my opinion, very dangerous narratives. They say, there are some parasitic people who exploit others. People who do not sow or plow, but receive salaries. Sometimes you have to hear such remarks, go work in a factory. There are all sorts of bloggers, economists, lawyers here. Drones, parasites who do nothing, do not create any real benefits. In the picture of the world of such proletarians, people of the socialist formation and two traditional views on life, only a factory worker or an agricultural worker is of value to society. But, for example, a merchant, a lawyer, a representative of a consulting agency or a lawyer, no. They do not produce anything that can be touched with their hands. Let's figure out, are they parasites or not? For example, you need to buy fish, herring in a store. But to go to Norway, bring it, pack it and deliver it to the store shelf, is this done by a parasite or not? What is added value? Who is more important, the employees of the fish farm, the fishermen who caught the fish or those who managed to freeze it, pack it, deliver batches of goods to the most different corners of the planet and to different countries? Who created the value? Or maybe that delivery person, the courier who delivered the fresh frozen fish straight to your home and handed it to you? What is value? This is not such a simple question as it seems at first glance. And when we begin to answer it thoughtfully, adhering to logic, it turns out that there are not so many real parasites. They certainly exist, but those whom we consider parasites are not actually parasites. Surprisingly, perhaps for someone it will be a discovery, but services and even intermediaries create some value, for which they ultimately receive their well-deserved reward in the form of trade markups, commissions, and so on. This model, the belief that value is created only by those who create it, is somewhat primitive, oversimplifying life. Not everything is as simple as it seems at first glance. But what if I say that even a beggar, idly sitting and begging for alms on the streets of the city, is also useful and brings some benefit to society? By his example, he essentially provides an educational service. The way he humiliates himself for hours, sits on the cold sidewalk or at the entrance to a store, he demonstrates, shows everyone passing by how not to live. He shows by living example what will happen if you ignore society, abuse alcohol, ignore social institutions and social rules. And by giving alms, throwing coins to such a beggar, we ourselves become a little better, more merciful, we learn to be compassionate. And even if he later spends the money on booze, on indecent things, then all the same, at a certain point in time, this beggar has already fulfilled his social function. He showed by his example how not to. And my child, passing by this, saw. And hundreds, thousands of people, passing by him, received a small educational service. We are perfectly aware of the value of goods, but it is more difficult for us to evaluate services. Meanwhile, the service sector is the same part of the economy as everything else. What value does an artist who painted an impressionist picture or a portrait represent? He created added value. Lawyers and attorneys, what value do they create? You often hear from people you talk to that they are just intermediaries, they take their huge commissions and essentially do not produce anything new. This is also a misconception. The legal service, the system that monitors compliance with the law, like the security services, all of these are actors, they perform a vital social function, thereby bringing enormous benefits. Where legal services are poorly developed, there is a primitive society, and by the way, there is also corruption, which everyone loves to talk about. There is a direct relationship between the level of development of civil institutions including legal services and the level of corruption and lawlessness in society, in the state. This is a direct consequence, so that there is no lynching, no showdowns, so that people do not kill each other. All these intermediaries are needed, who at first glance, if you look at it with a primitive proletarian mind, do not produce anything material. In order to solve some issue, a problem that has arisen, it is necessary to pay a lawyer, an intermediary, a parasite, in the opinion of some people. So that a lawyer would connect all his talents, knowledge of laws, help solve this or that problem. The hierarchy of lawyers, attorneys builds a kind of civilized replacement for corrupt relations in undeveloped countries. If there were no lawyer, there would be a temptation to resolve the issue not according to the law, but according to concepts, to pay a bribe, but this role within the civilized social system is performed by numerous intermediaries. Everything is according to the law and exclusively civilized. Therefore, the high level of corruption in the country indicates, first of all, the underdevelopment of civil and legal institutions. There are no parasitic professions. This is a misconception. Even in the philosophical sense, you have to pay for everything. Any work, even if it seems unnecessary at first glance, requires encouragement. This is why there is such a concept as social benefits, unemployment benefits. A person is paid so that he reports on time, does not commit crimes, but is busy. Unemployment is a very harmful phenomenon for society. Unfortunately, a person is so arranged that due to idleness very bad thoughts can start to creep into his head and there will be a temptation to commit bad deeds. Therefore, it is even profitable for the state to pay a temporarily unemployed person a minimum wage than to deal with the consequences later, with illegal actions. Just as there are no unnecessary professions, so in a philosophical sense there is no unreasonably earned money. If money is earned by honest work, talent, knowledge, within the law, then one should not envy such a person, belittle his contribution to the development of society. Some time ago I happened to hear such a Philistine opinion. They say that pop singers who earn such huge money, and many of them do not know how to sing to a soundtrack. I sing better than, for example, Billie Eilish, my vocals are cleaner, but no one pays me that much. The problem is that there are millions of good singers, people with a good voice, with excellent vocal skills in any country, but not all of them become famous, become stars. Not all of them go through the same trials, the thorny paths that show business stars have gone through. To become famous and outstanding, sometimes you have to step over some principles, sacrifice your time, sometimes even your personal life. To become the first in something, you have to withstand huge competition, which we do not see now. We notice, the first one up, gets the slippers. Some young and unknown singer can lament as much as they want about their wonderful vocal skills, but in order to earn as much as celebrities, it is necessary to go through similar trials, selections, go to free castings, perform practically for free for a long time, earn the approval of the public and the elite of society, and be able to realize your chance. Yes, sometimes, within the framework of the capitalist model, not always honest tools can be used for the purpose of career growth. Sometimes, all means are good, even currying favor with the boss. As they say, for example, he kissed the boss's ass for a long time before he was appointed to some position. And this, by the way, is also very difficult, to please the boss, to go on your days off on the boss's instructions, to tolerate all his whims. Kissing ass, to serve, this is also a kind of work. From the moral side, we may not approve of this, but often the one who is ready for everything, who wants it more than anything, achieves success. Those who see only the external side of success, usually underestimate the work, the efforts that other people make to achieve their success. It is easy to reason, for example, sitting on the couch with a cup of tea on your day off, watching how some officials go on inspections to enterprises or speak at rallies. Do you think they wouldn't like to spend this day off with their family and friends, like you? And not with their subordinates, delegations and superiors, but their position doesn't allow it. You have to endure in order to achieve something. And it's stupid to envy, they say, they are superiors, directors, they have it good. To hint that they are undeservedly receiving their high salaries. No, they are quite deservedly so. This is how society works, this is how social connections work in most countries of the world, even in very prosperous and developed countries of the world. Whoever bears responsibility, who is ready to lead and manage, schemes off all the cream in case of success. But in case of failure, he will be the first to be punished. If someone thinks that it is unfair that superiors and officials have such high salaries, then let them try to take on similar risks and similar responsibility, let them try to manage at least 10 or 100 subordinates, and then tell you if it is easy. Do these people eat their bread for nothing or not? Just as there are no parasitic professions, so in the philosophical sense all social connections, the hierarchy built by people, are subject to general laws and are fairly fair. In any case, it corresponds to nature. The leader of a pack of monkeys, baboons, for example, in the event of an attack on the whole pack by a dangerous predator, the same cheetah or leopard, is the first to rush and engage in battle with the enemy. Sacrificing himself, knowing that the forces are not equal, he thereby goes to a conscious certain death in order to distract the predator and save the whole pack. The role of the leader is sometimes greatly underestimated. Everyone sees only the obvious advantages of such a status, this role. Absolute and uniform justice for everyone at a single moment in time does not exist, it is a utopia. Why is this so? There was one of the old videos, which is called, "Why Does Justice Not Exist?" In order to demonstrate to you the value that the intermediary creates, I will give the following example. There is, for example, a cement plant that produces cement all year round. The capacities work, the workers receive wages all year round. But the consumption of cement in winter and summer is different, right? The need differs in connection with other factors. For example, a large construction project has appeared, there are orders, there is consumption of cement. If at the moment there is no such project in the city, there is no consumption. And an intermediary appears, whose role is to take all the cement from the plant every day and in the same amount, store it temporarily somewhere at his place in warehouses, and resell it to the consumer exactly when it is needed. Thus, he smooths out the pulsation of demand. From the point of view of a primitive person with a Marxist perception of the world, any intermediary is a pure parasite, but from the point of view of the benefit to the plant, he is a necessary element of survival. Without him, the plant would simply die, we would have to throw half the staff out on the street in winter, mothball production. And so, we have continuous operation of the plant, all year round. And all this is only thanks to the intermediary, smoothing out the pulse of consumption, and this intermediary is exactly the same participant in the economic process as an accountant at the plant, as the head of the HR department, a lawyer or a cleaner. They all work for the good and receive their salaries quite deservedly. The middleman takes the risk by buying cement for future use, and for this risk, among other things, he takes a certain margin, a price premium, which is also not unlimited and is regulated, it cannot be more than it should be. In addition to the market mechanisms themselves, special anti-monopoly services also control all this. They make sure that there are no monopolies. The economy and life are a much more complex structure and there may not be as many pure parasites within the capitalist economic system as it seems to us at first glance. In the modern economy, the main added value, the main value, is often the last link, the middleman, the last distributor. To put it simply, the food delivery man, the middleman, the courier who handed you a package through the door, and not the one who produced these products. Everyone creates their share of value. Here is such a video, friends. Unfortunately, a similar video in Russian caused a storm of hate, curses in the comments. Leftist ideology, myths about parasitic bourgeois, evil capitalists, prevent people from perceiving capitalism as the only economic model, system that works in practice. The desire to take from the rich and give everything to the poor, Accusations of parasitism on society are the result of those myths that I tried to destroy today in this video. Subscribe, I will continue to share useful thoughts for life on this channel. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.